everyone, and welcome back to Talk Wordy, my hub for all of the words that I read, write, or otherwise want to yap about. Today, I have a very special author guest on the pod. She's the Amazon Top 100 author of romances that are chock full of representation, swoon, and banter. And her new book, The Recovery Run, releases March 3rd. Please welcome Melissa Whitney.
Yay! Thank you for having me, Sydney.
Absolutely. So what you guys don't know if you're listening at home, because it's probably way off in the future when this episode is coming out, we are currently at LeveletCon in San Diego, and you are my very last author of the event, which is so special to me. It's been such a fun weekend. How has the convention been for you so far?
Well, I mean, first, save the best for last.
Exactly.
No offense to any of the other authors. I love you all. It's been fun. I love getting a chance to connect with readers, to hang with my fellow author friends, and my best friend is my PA. So she and I always have any excuse to hang out, especially, get to have Valentine's with your best girlfriend is like just extra special. So yeah, it's been really fun.
I love that. Okay, something I like to do with my guests normally, when we have full-length episodes, we love to talk about what we're reading, watching, and listening to. But to kind of condense that down to save us some time, I'm curious, do you have any current hyperfixations, any TV shows that are you're really watching, movies, music, books, anything like that?
Oh, right now I am really in a paranormal romance kick.
Ooh.
And I'm reading Stephanie Holmes' Fangs for Nothing, and she writes kind of cozy, fun, whimsical paranormal romances. She's a fellow blind author, so shout out to my blind girls who like to write smutty romance. I love it. The book is so sweet and so swoony and all the things. And anytime I can have a female main character who likes to enjoy a cup of tea and a male main character who is just downbound for her, I'm super excited.
I love that. Okay, so this is a little out of left field, but I thought it was so funny when I was doing my research for this episode. You once wrote, quote, "With a name like Melissa Whitney, she had two choices, become a real housewife or a romance author. Lucky for us, Andy Cohen hasn't called yet." Yeah. Do you watch The Real Housewives at all? And if so, do you have a favorite city out of the franchise?
Oh my gosh. Do I watch The Real Housewives? I mean, do we breathe?
Yes.
I mean, ever since I got hooked on Real Housewives when New Jersey dropped. I was like, what is this? As soon as she flipped the table, I was in love.
Yeah.
I would say my favorite right now, Salt Lake and Potomac are probably my two favorites.
Yeah.
I just finished watching Salt Lake, but I'm an Orange County girl. I live in Orange County, so of course, I gotta represent the OG OCs. So I would say those three: Salt Lake, OC, and Potomac are my three must binge watch.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm really big on The Traitors right now, and so you've got Lisa Rinna. That's Beverly Hills, right? Yes. And then Candace from Potomac. And they are so funny because they're both traitors. I don't know if you know how the show works, but they're the bad guys. And it is so funny to see them kind of girly geek out together. They're so messy. It's hilarious. Okay, I just had to ask that. I was like, what a hilarious author bio. I need to know her thoughts on the franchise. Okay. In a general sense, did you always know that you wanted to be a writer, or was that something that kind of transpired later down the road for you?
Yeah, I mean, so many of my fellow authors, I always loved telling stories. And I would write short stories when I was a kid. I wrote my first book when I was in 3rd grade and went to the county fair, got a red ribbon, second place. I'm very braggadocious about that.
Yeah.
So I just always loved telling stories, did creative writing in undergrad, but I went into healthcare. I have a master's in social work. So I was, doing that and thinking that's my journey. But I always loved reading books and still kind of scribbling stories. And then after the pandemic, I work in a healthcare system. I was a part of the leadership team at a hospital, making sure things were where they needed to be to take care of our patients. I was a little burnt out, and I was really just starting to tap into some of those other things outside of work. And I started scribbling a story, and that story just kept going and going and going. And then my best friend, Megan, said, "I want to read it." And I said, "Absolutely not." And then I let her read it because she used her Jedi mind tricks on me.
Oh, of course.
And then she was like, I think you're a writer. And then I just never looked back.
I love that. And I love the fact that you had like that best friend support from the ground. I know that I always loved writing, and I never thought that I would actually like publish. I like had dreams, but did I take any action? No, I just shelved all those projects and like hid them. And it finally took like my high school best friend to be like, you need to like publish this. I want to go with you to all your book tours. Like, the loyalty of a friend like that is just really hard to come by. So I love that she was there to like invest in you at that early stage. So let's talk about your upcoming book, The Recovery Run. Before we actually started the interview, you were mentioning like all the cool ways that the book is like formatted, like instead of chapters, it's miles. Tell our listeners who may not be familiar with you and your work about this new book.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, I am a blind woman. So I really love to write books with disability representation. I also write books with mental health representation. I really like to uplift my community and show that there's disabled joy. And, disabled people, we are the main character of every story, especially a love story.
Yeah.
And so it's really important to me. And so this one has a female main character who is blind like myself, so its own voice. And it is about her training for a marathon. And when you are a visually impaired person and you run a marathon or any type of race, which I've done 5Ks and 10Ks with my husband, you have to have a guide runner. And so this book is a romance between her and her guide runner, who happens to be her brother's best friend. He's very grumpy sunshine. He's very Mr. Darcy coded. It's angst to friends to lovers. A little bit of an age gap because he's 7 years older. And I grounded each chapter. Instead of chapter 1, it's mile 1, and it all goes up to the finish line because a marathon is 26.2 miles. So you get to go on the journey with her as she is training for this marathon, learning to trust herself as well as to trust others and to push past the boundaries that she put herself into.
I absolutely love that. The structure of how that book operates is just so intriguing. I love that. So for those who may not like understand the process behind like the writing differences because you are a blind woman, how does that differ for you than a traditional abled author?
Yeah, so for somebody who is not visually impaired, they're going to do things a little bit different. I use screen readers and screen magnification programs to help me access technology so that I can use, Microsoft Word just like everybody else is using. Or, I know some people don't use Microsoft Word. I don't want to, put anyone in a box, but I use that to help me access the computer. I write everything. I know there are some folks who use dictation, but I still type with my fingers. It gets tricky and kind of fun when I'm doing the editing because it's a combination of like a read aloud and what limited vision I do have with the magnification program. But where it kind of really falls into place is when I write POV from a non-visually impaired perspective. So with this book, The Recovery Run, it's done completely in a visually impaired POV. So it's her point of view. So I get to write the way I experience the world. But in other books, when I have a main character who is not visually impaired, I have to write how non-visually impaired people see the world. So how they see things. So I'm like Googling like, what do sunsets look like? And I'm spending hours trying to figure out the right color. And then I'm running things past other people who are not visually impaired. And I'm like, what does that look like? And how do you experience that? Because the way I experience things is, more about like feeling and smell and touch. And whereas like my husband, who is sighted, he will look at it and also he's terrible at describing. So he's like no help with this. But so it's things like that I have to factor into my writing. So whenever anyone says, oh, contemporary romance is so easy, I'm like, do you know how long I spend researching sunsets?
What a fun thing to research, though. What romance books inspired you or shaped you into the writer that you are today?
Oh, my goodness. I'm a voracious reader. I love Denise Williams, her writing is so lovely because she does a good job of weaving in the heart, the swoon, but also telling stories that deal with real issues. If you read like The Fastest Way to Fall, it talks about like body image, or How to Fail at Flirting really has a conversation about the experience of being a woman, a BIPOC woman within the university system. I love her stuff. I love Hannah Bonham Young.
Yes. I love Hannah Bonham Young.
Hannah's great. Oh my gosh, I could like, it's funny, like I know authors and I have all my people I love, and then as soon as you ask, I'm like, what are books?
Yeah, it's suddenly like, I've never read a book. I've never seen a movie. I don't know a single author.
Yeah, but no, I've been really blessed to have some great authors who just inspire me. Like Denise. Denise has been great. Hannah's been lovely. Hannah's been great as a fellow disabled author. When I came in and I asked questions, she's always giving me great resources. Chelsea Cordo's lovely.
Yeah.
There's just so many great authors out there that inspire me. Sarah McLean, of course. Mia Hopkins, who's here. I mean, she's a legend.
Yeah.
I mean, she's just lovely. And JC Lee. I mean, I remember reading JC's books in lockdown and with my book club, and now I'm sitting across from her at Love LitCon.
Yeah. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to play a little bit of a this or that with you. There's no wrong answers. There's only your answers. But I know every author has a different process, so I'm curious to learn more about yours. When you sit down to write, I take it you're going more for standalone, but as a reader, do you like standalones or series more?
As a reader, you know what? I think I like an interconnected standalone series. Yeah, because then I like where I can pick it up at any point. I still do it from start to finish, though.
Yeah, but like having the option is nice.
Yes, and then you're like, I want to know more about this barista, and you want a whole like backstory about this barista. So I'm nosy, so I love that.
Okay, when you sit down to read, are you a binge reader, or do you want to take your time reading a book?
It depends on the book. It really does. But I do like to have at least a solid hour. I'm not that type of person who's like, oh, I have 20 minutes, so I want an hour to at least sit with the book.
Yeah, I like that. Books that make you laugh or books that make you cry?
Ooh. I feel bad. It's like it's always depending on my mood. I think I'd rather laugh than cry, but sometimes a good cry is just all you need.
Yeah, I agree. When you're reading, do you like to have like kind of atmospheric music on, or do you prefer to read in silence?
Because I'm an audiobook reader, I usually don't have music.
That's fair, yeah.
But I do like to have the perfect combination of snack and beverage.
Yes.
So depending on the vibes, it's like, okay, this is a cup of tea book, or this is a glass of wine, or this is I'm in the bubble bath.
Yes.
With candles. I'm also big like lighting candles for the vibe.
Absolutely. Yes. And then with writing, are you listening to music, or do you need to write in silence?
Music. The music helps set the mood. So whatever vibe I'm going for in that scene, I have music, and I have like music that keeps me in the mindset of that character, and the entire kind of aesthetic of the book that I'm going for, like emotionally, for not just the scene but the overall book. So I like, for example, for some reason, the recovery run, I was like really listening to a lot of Michelle Branch, a lot of like early 2000s, like her and Avril Lavigne and Vanessa Carlton. I don't know why, but they were really feeding, like the kind of early girl pop music was really feeding this book.
And then when it comes to reading and writing, you can have two different answers. Character-driven books or plot-driven books?
I love a character-driven book. I tend to write more character-driven books. It's, people are like, oh, wait, but the plot was just them, like, falling in love. And I'm like, that's the plot. I want them to explore their relationships and explore not just a relationship with each other, but with themselves. And I love that type of books because that's what gravitates me to romance is always about people. And again, I'm nosy, so I want to know about the people.
Absolutely. Okay, so throughout your author career, you've obviously published multiple books. What is something that you've learned along the way that you wish somebody could have told you about sooner?
I think the thing that I don't know if necessarily I wish somebody had told me sooner, but to prioritize relationships, authentic relationships with authors.
Yes.
It's my author friends are so supportive. I lean on them. They lean on me. They can help you get through those moments where you're feeling like I'm an imposter. I don't belong here. They can help you brainstorm things and to have authentic relationships and not relationships based on what can you do for me, but relationships based on how can we support each other. And so whenever I interact with newer authors, that is something I really, really push for them is build those authentic relationships because they are going to be what keeps you afloat on those really hard days.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, like I said earlier, we're currently at Lovelit. By the time this episode comes out, we won't be because Lovelit is unfortunately ending in actually the next couple hours. So to all of our listeners that are watching this in the future, where can they find you, your books, and do you have any other upcoming events?
Yeah. So my books are available on Kindle Unlimited, except for one book that's everywhere, as well as an audiobook. All my books are in audio and paperback. You can always get signed copies through Heartbound Bookshop in Anaheim. I live near there, so they're lovely. I don't have to worry about shipping things. I just go sign books and then they ship them. So you can get my books there. I'm most active on Instagram and Threads. And I also have a website, melissawhitneywrites.com. It's getting revamped. It's going to get a facelift, just like some of the Real Housewives. I threw some shade. See, Andy Cohen, I could be a Real Housewife. I'm going to be at Sports Romance in a month. I'm really excited. I was there last year for the inaugural, and it was absolutely lovely. We had such a great time. The team that runs that convention does such a great job. So if you are a sports romance reader or writer, I highly recommend going. And then just a bunch of other events, different library events, and hopefully the LA Times Festival of Books. We're waiting to hear about a few things. So yeah. But otherwise you can find me, talking about my pugs on Instagram.
Well, perfect. There you have it. Thank you so much for tuning in to Talk Wordy. And again, my special thanks to Melissa Whitney for coming on the show. This has been so much fun. Don't forget to follow the podcast on Instagram at Talk Wordy Pod, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, you guys.